What's up, everybody? Welcome to the MIRE. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue, Tommy Petrain, live from the Cougar Den in Skillman for boys basketball. And tonight, Montgomery will host the Raiders of Hillsborough. Gentlemen, how are we making out on this lovely, rainy, ridiculously horrendous Thursday evening?
Other than the weather, feeling pretty good.
That's good. You know, because I always like to lead with the negative. It's how we roll here. Matt, you okay over there? I know you just had some scoreboard trouble. We fixed that.
I mean, it wasn't even trouble. It was more like a new adventure that I didn't want to go on.
Ghost of scoreboard past.
I don't know.
Messing with the world. Hillsborough coming to town tonight, guys. This is a game that obviously we were all at a couple weeks ago. It feels like a pretty quick turnaround against the Raiders. When Montgomery saw this team last, they were kind of at a high watermark for the season, and they were 8-1 at the time. And since they defeated Montgomery, thanks to that ridiculous shooting first quarter, they've lost 4 of their last 6. So Hillsborough kind of maybe feeling like a little bit vulnerable, possibly, maybe. They only put up 37 points in a win against Phillipsburg 2 days ago. So, Tommy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for Montgomery to get revenge here. And that last game, obviously, the shooting was the headline for Hillsborough. That first quarter was really just crazy to watch with all the threes they were making. But throughout the rest of the game, it was pretty even. The second quarter of that game was 13-13, and Montgomery won the third quarter of that game 13-12. So unless Hillsborough shoots the lights out again like they did last time, I think Montgomery has a pretty good chance here to make something happen.
Ethan Lynn in that game against Hillsborough, which ended 64-43 in favor of the Raiders. Ethan Lynn had a team-high 17 points. He was the only Cougar in double figures. And you have to think, Hillsborough is going to be well aware of his presence today.
I think film might have focused maybe 60 to 70% on him. Just flat out him handling the ball, needing to try and trap him, all the things you're going to try and do because, they couldn't figure it out.
I feel like I might need, after this game tonight, like some kind of disinfectant for this headset because, so this is going to be really stupid, but again, stupid's what we do because we're actually humans. So this afternoon, I had a bag of Pop Chips, okay? Right? Or Popcorners. I'm sorry, not Popcorners.
Okay.
And they were the delicious, sweet chili kind,
Ooh.
where, all the, the good, sweet, salty crap falls off of it and, sits in the bottom of the bag.
Yeah.
So then, of course, what do you do with the rest of that stuff?
Shake it.
You do it, and then you dump it all in your mouth, right? So it was fantastic. I dumped the whole big wad of crap in my mouth. It was delicious, and I've had, little pieces of it stuck in my throat, and I've been coughing the entire rest of the, I choked on my own deliciousness.
Yeah, the popcorners got you in the late stages.
Oh, and I'm gonna cough into this thing. I'm gonna try to hit the mute button every time I do it, but I've been coughing all afternoon, and it's not the vid, it's just the popcorners.
So is that piece coming out, or do you think it's gonna dissolve? What's going on down there?
I don't even know that it feels like it's that one little kernel of sugar, that it's attached to my trachea.
Yep.
This is all the things you all need to know out there in MIRE land to be ready for this game. Tommy, I know this is the kind of thing that you signed up for. This kind of talk when you got into this.
I think we promised you sports, and that was a little bit misleading.
It's all good. I love popcorners.
That was the perfect comment for that situation, Tommy. So there's one other thing I want to talk about, because I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, and I feel like with kind of where Montgomery is on this season, I might be changing my tune a little bit. Cougars are 4-10, right? And they had a game the other night against Watchung. That Watchung played really, really well. Beat Montgomery by 30. And we're getting to a place in the season now where we got about a month left, and we've been talking about the potential return of Stephen Donahue. And I've been saying, they're going to get him back, and this is going to... Now, let's put it in an NFL analogy, right? The Atlanta Falcons, let's say my crappy Atlanta Falcons, going into the last week of the season with 5 wins, whatever, 6 wins, no playoff implications, and you had like Grady Jarrett was injured or something, and all of a sudden he's better, and you could play him in the last game of the season when he's probably not 100% because he's cleared by the doctor, and you could risk like catastrophic injury, re-injury, that will affect the whole offseason, that will affect potentially the start of next season? Or do you just go, Grady, you're the man. We're not in the playoffs. If there's any, unless you are 100%, you feel 100%, you feel the doctors say this is great, then you could play. So I feel like we're kind of in week 17 in the NFL with Stephen Donahue right now, because I know we still got a couple of weeks before he could go to the doctor, potentially even get cleared, but then that's just clearing you to get back on a basketball court, start dribbling a basketball. Like, is it going to be a space where you want to bring him back? We know he wants to be back, but, like, don't you have to save him from himself maybe?
This is weird because I'm happy because I think I know the answer to your question, but then it's bittersweet because that means he's probably not playing.
I mean, what do you think, Tommy?
I mean, I agree with Pogue. I think it is really up to the coach and the doctors, but the thing is, no playoff implications. Game doesn't really have any meaning. Sure, he's probably not going to get re-injured, but if he does get re-injured and it's serious, then that's a decision you're going to regret for a long, long time, especially if it lasts all the way until next season and it affects your team next season.
Because I think you also have, you know, obviously the high school season, and these are your friends, and this is the people you see every day, 10 months a year. But, like, it's not like the kid doesn't play other basketball. It's not like the kid doesn't have other stuff to do athletically. You know, he's got to be ready to do that stuff. And you could be hurting an opportunity that he has, you know, in the spring or in the summer athletically by saying, no, we want you back for the last 2 weeks of hoop season right off this injury. That it feels irresponsible as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, why would we close off opportunities for something we know can only go wrong? I mean, best case scenario, he has a great game for 1 or 2 games, but is that worth it long term? I don't think so. He might disagree, though.
Well, right. I mean, I would if I was him, but you know, I think that's one of those things that you're going to have to wait and see just what the prognosis is. You know, maybe he goes to the doctor, and by then he's like, oh my God, I've been punching the wall for 3 weeks now, and you know, and we're fine. Like, you never know, but I'm just floating it out there, just floating it right now. So that's not a great thing overall for the Cougs in the 2022-23 season, but you know, whatever.
It's news.
Well, it's not news. I just made it up.
Well, you can call it news. Doesn't mean it's news, but I said it's news. So is it news?
It's news now.
All right. See how that goes?
I do. Tommy, you got that? This has been a big day of mentoring for Tommy.
Oh, but in which direction?
Doesn't anybody wish they knew? Including me. On that front, by the way, the the MIRE Alumna Association, if you will, the MAA that I just dubbed it. I'm kind of reminded all the time when we text with Darren Wallace and see how well he's doing, and then you look at, you know, certainly Matt Gutierrez, and you know, then you know the other Isaac Rue and Mo Hassanen and all the stuff that they're doing out there in the world. It's pretty cool to look at that. And I owe Mo an apology because I told him he was doing public relations and sports info for the pro soccer team in Mercer County. And then I never went to a game because I forget where we went. Well, you know, we went to Cayman.
Oh, that's a tough decision. That's
Yeah.
a real tough decision.
And then I never went, so I feel bad. But a lot of our MIRE alums doing some pretty awesome stuff. So, Tommy, if you go this route, no pressure.
All right. Sounds good.
See, that's a lot of trust, and it's earned, right? Yeah.
And Mandy, we can't forget Mandy, too.
True. Also studying sports.
Killing it up at Syracuse. You know what, just the number, I'm going to throw out my shoulder, patting us on the back here, but just the number of people that we've had, as a part of the MIRE that ended up going through Newhouse is pretty spectacular. You know, if I was creating a resume, which I'm not, that would look pretty good. I would live off the good careers of other kids. Pretty much how I choose to roll.
Just stepping your way up to the top.
That's right, baby. Well, I'm so far removed from my own journalism career, nobody gives a crap at this point, so I got to make it relevant for the new generation. See, between TCNJ kids and our MIRE kids, we're fantastic. Everybody got that?
Radio will be better for everyone, is what you're saying.
Probably.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Probably. And you know what? TV. D-Wall's on TV. So.
True.
In any event, all right, I need some water. Maybe I can wash out the kernels of sweetness from those popcorners, but judging by how much I've already drank today, that it hasn't happened yet, I'm not optimistic. But we live in an eternal world of optimism as boys basketball takes on Hillsborough, looking for the upset. We'll be back with the starting lineups. We're going to have boys basketball in just about 8 or 9 minutes. Don't go anywhere. You're caught in the MIRE. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. welcome back to the MIRE. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue, Tommy Petrain, and Nicole DeMace live from the Cougar Den as we're set for high school basketball against Hillsborough. Let's bring you the starting lineup first for the Raiders of Hillsborough. Losers of 4 of their last 6 since beating Montgomery on the 3rd of January. Nick Loesch and Zion Harrison, Jaden Green, Avery Whitney, and Trevor Moncrief will start for the Raiders. Green and Harrison were the major scorers for Hillsborough the first time around. Got to keep an eye on them. Basically got to keep an eye on everybody, especially from the outside. Now let's meet the starters for Montgomery. It's the usual starting 5 that you see for Coach Grundy's squad. The freshman superstar, Ethan Lynn, 17 points the first time these two teams played, I should say. The point guard, Josh Moore, he's joined by the captains, Matt Levy, Luke Smith, and JT Szymborski in the starting lineup. We've seen, guys, Szymborski and Smith be streakier from the outside than I really thought they might be otherwise this season. Tommy, you have any theories? What's going on there?
What do you mean by streaking out?
Like they're a little streaky, more streakier in terms of their shooting, not as consistent game to game than maybe we otherwise thought they might be.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like there's some games where you look at the stats, some games where players like Luke Smith hit 1 3, and then games where he hits 7 threes, or games like JT Szymborski can hit 8 threes in a game, or he can hit none. So the consistency really isn't there if you look at the statistics between games. But if there is a game where we are shooting really well, there's a very high chance we will win that game. The problem is those types of games don't really come that often.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Gotta hope that maybe the way Hillsborough did in their own gym, Montgomery gets untracked a little bit early in this one. Smith jumped it up against Moncrief, and the Raiders will start with it. Moving into the inside and playing inside out. A good ball fake. That was from Loesch.
I think you can see Montgomery's definitely defending the perimeter when I cut off those 3-point shots that came all last game.
Yeah, the defense is certainly extended a little bit. Good job by Levy. That's got to be a travel. Yep. They're going to call it a jump ball, actually. Either way, it's a good job defensively from the Cougs. So if we're comparing apples to apples, a better first possession this time than the last time.
I agree.
Can we end the game now?
Yeah, drastically better. But let's give it a couple of minutes, because if we can do that a few more times, it's going to feel like we're actually going to win this game.
Good backdoor cut from Smith. That's an acrobatic job to save it. And Szymborski missing on his first attempt. Moncrief will hoist the 3. And Meyer jinx. There you go. 3-0 Hillsborough.
Did it again.
So you got to feel like, at least initially, maybe a little deja vu. Lynn looking for a little deja vu himself off that 17-point performance. Levy working his way inside, and they're going to call Moore on a travel. That's one early in the game you're like, as a ref, you're like, oh man, I can't not call this. As much as you hate calling those violations at all.
When it happens this early in the game and a coach sees it and it's not called in the future, they're going to be like, why'd you call it last time and not this time?
True story. Moncrief's no good on his second opportunity. And Levy, as Lynn, a little jump stop and gets it to roll.
And that floater looks so easy when he does it, but to get into the paint and release that into contact the way he does is excellent.
And I don't even think he had really had his feet fully underneath him there either. Good job physically by Levy, and a good closeout. If Moore can hurry, he might have had a layup, but instead it'll be a foul against Jaden Green.
But either way, pushing the ball like that, that is what drew the foul. force the defender out of position and try and make a play on the ball.
Luke Smith had leaked out behind everybody. Good hesitation move, no shock there from Lynn. That's a good no call, I think, there, as Montgomery is going to get called for an offensive foul. Maybe a little taste of his own medicine there for Szymborski, as he's usually on the other end of that.
Is this what I've been doing to people? That's
Yeah,
terrible.
He's just better the other way. But then again, it's probably not better the other way physically, I got to tell you. He has stood on the train tracks and just let the train run him over like 700 times in his
I want to
career.
know what he's thinking right before it happens.
And he's got a steal there defensively, does JT. Man, what's going to happen when Ethan Lynn develops the outside shooting part of his game a little more? As Levy, what an acrobatic up and under for Matt Levy.
Oh, that's not the first option, but he said this is the best option.
I think if he missed that, Grundy would be very upset.
Yeah, but it looked great going in, so everything's great.
Oh, and just a little too much contact for Levy as they get a hold on him. Second team foul for the Cougs. 4-3 good guys in the early going.
Better start than last game so
And
far.
no doubt, well, last time it was like 21-0 by this point.
The bar was low, but we're doing great.
Every once in a while, you get the reflection. Actually, there's nothing ever like that game. I reference it every couple of years. That's good offense from Hillsborough. It ends up with a green layup. I talk about it every couple of years. The first boys basketball game I was ever a part of here, we hosted Immaculata, and Theo Riddick was the senior, you know, who ended up obviously going to Notre Dame and played for the Detroit Lions, amongst others. As Levy strong to the hole, no good. His own tap, no good. And then finally to Hillsborough. And Immaculata started the game 23-0 in the home opener, like 2 days before Christmas. It was rough. Great steal, and that's going to be goaltending as Levy leaked out.
That fast break offense is so important because if Hillsborough isn't ready to get back on defense, there's really nothing they can do. And we got physical guys that are ready to go to the hoop and make a layup or get fouled, so that's really important.
And if a team like Hillsborough isn't making their threes, those are usually long rebounds, and if we're ready to run out, you get a lot of easy layups.
Something just happened that makes me chuckle from a referee perspective. I'll talk about it at a timeout if you remind me about the goaltending and who made the goaltending call. As Moncrief knocks it down, and then he kind of spun the six-shooter and tucked it back in the holster. Did I see that right?
Oh, he's already hit two. He's almost in the territory now.
I mean, I don't know about that. Luke Smith tries to answer. It looked like it got tipped on the way up. Lynn does a good job to just alter it defensively, and Luke Smith has played such a big role on the rebounding end of things as Moore comes off a screen, and that one had a nice touch on it, but just wouldn't fall.
Yeah, we haven't seen plays run to set him up for that too often, but he's been shooting a lot more threes the last couple of games.
And a fadeaway three. That time is good.
Kind of hard
Ben
to
Spitzer.
believe.
Sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
Kind of hard to believe, but actually in this game, they're shooting worse than they did the last game, and they're still shooting very good this game.
Ethan Lynn, that time, no good. So the Cougs remain a little chilly from beyond the arc. Approaching 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Little mini 6-0 run here for Hillsborough. Man, you see how much farther out Montgomery is defending on Green and Williamson as Moncrief misses the jam attempt but gets the rebound and an easy layup. So we'll keep it here, and I'll tell you that story about the Montgomery bench getting all fired up at the officials after that goaltending call. Now, it's the right call, and this is what coaches do to officials, and it drives us refs batty. So, like, the play happened, and the call got made. And then no one's happy that the right thing happened. Hey, why did you make that call, and why didn't he make that call? Wait, what? Coach, do you even know what I'm supposed to be looking at? Because let me ask you this question. If my man underneath the rim is looking at the rim through the backboard, who's watching if the kid gets fouled?
Oh, don't ask questions like that.
Yeah.
Oh, don't ask questions like that.
So when the backside official, the trail referee in this in a two-person game here, came up and made the goaltending call, let me give you a little something. That's who's supposed to make the damn call, because he's the guy looking at the rim. The guy underneath is looking at whether the guy gets fouled.
Yeah, all the bodies that might be colliding.
And God forbid, everybody, the call got made. It's all good.
But not in the way we want it. Exactly the way
It's all
we
good.
want it.
Everybody relax. I got at the Team USA last trial. What a pass inside. Oh, and Brandon Davis, who's just in the game, couldn't capitalize. I had the exact same kind of play in USA's last scrimmage when I was down in Florida in December. It was December, right? I was there in December. It was a long three, is no good. Spitzer couldn't handle it, so. Oh, that has to be. Yep, yeah, that's good. It's a good call, consistent call from the other direction from when Moore traveled. Jesse Bernhardt, brother of Atlanta Falcon Jared Bernhardt, was in my rear end, wiggling around for a little while because the goalie got absolutely annihilated on a play. And I threw the flag from, a pretty good distance away because just the way the play developed. And he's just screaming. The fact that the goalie was dead on the field had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I was getting yelled at. Why are you making that call? I'm like, I don't understand your question. The goalie's dead.
Yeah, you gotta make something happen.
Jack Fromelt making something happen. That's what we call a segue right there, Mr. Pogue.
That was a segue that we're about to ruin. Watch this. Watch this. There it goes.
If you look back at previous games, Fromelt had a few good games, but teams like Hillsborough, not great offensive performances from him in the last game. So he's another guy that if he shows up, Hillsborough's not going to be expecting it.
Yeah, corner three off the bench. That's a good feeling too. We might have a great game if you can start like that.
Sometimes it's just seeing it go in, like we always talk about. Good job by Moore. Now 8 and 7 seconds on the clock. And inside out, it's going to have to be a heave here. A ball fake, and that heave, and no good from Loesch. So a very different first 8 minutes in Skillman compared to the first 8 minutes in Hillsborough. Cougs within 4. We'll be right back. Second quarter, I should say, coming up right after this. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. I don't know if I can do that, Pogue. Welcome back to the mire.
It'd be tough. You need a weird splitter.
Yeah. Welcome to us in boys basketball in the middle of our technology conversations, everybody.
I don't think the audience knows how many of those actually happen because most of them are off the air.
That is the truth. Josh Moore with a steal, and he will lay it in. Good start for quarter number 2. Well, you know what, Tom? You're also new to the MIRE. We have a lot of idiotic technology conversations on the air.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you got to figure life out sometimes.
It's the truth. A floater is no good. Lynn's got the board and a foul on Ben Spitzer, so Montgomery with a chance to pull even or go ahead here in the early going of quarter number 2. Moore and now Ethan Lynn. Davis hit the deck inside. A second three-pointer. This one from Luke Smith. Same spot on the floor as from Elton. The Cougs grab the lead back.
I think a big thing for Montgomery in this game is getting that momentum, getting fans loud, bench excited. That just makes it that much harder for Hillsborough to get stuff going. Just like
Moore, again, just to your point there, Tommy, Montgomery seizing on the momentum. That's the second steal of the quarter for Josh Moore, and the second foul on Ben Spitzer in about a minute.
Yeah, there's definitely something different to their defensive scheme. I mean, they know Hillsborough wants to shoot from, a lot of three-point shots, and they're taking the passing lanes, and they're actually trying to jump them way more than they did last time.
Spitzer is back out of the ball game, and Jaden Green is back in. I would have pulled that if I was Luke Smith there. After you just get one. Lynn is directing traffic. As you can see how quickly they roll to him with Moncrief. A floater from Moore. That one just didn't want to find its way home. That's good recognition from Brandon Davis there with a high hand approach as he did there again. But you know what? Now you got to give Moncrief some credit because that actually wasn't ridiculously bad defense at all. And he knocked it down with a hand in his face. Fromelt. That's good defense from Hillsborough. As Lynn will start things over. And Lynn ends up getting his pocket picked as Williamson comes the other way and throws it down.
That defensive matchup, I'm pretty sure was not the same last game with Zion Harrison on Ethan Lynn, but after that big game he had, seems like Harrison's their best defender, so they put him on Lynn.
Moore hesitates and throws it off the window and home. Montgomery sticking close here to within a bucket. This is Harrison. And Spitzer, or rather Loesch, I should say. I'm sorry. A much more in tune game plan defensively so far for Montgomery, it seems.
Yeah, they seem to be content giving up the middle a little bit.
Davis is going to get called for a foul. And that's the thing. And again, you got to give Moncrief credit because he's knocked down enough threes so far in the early going that you have to approach aggressively at this point.
Yeah.
And he said if you're going to do that, then he's going to do what a good player should, and that's put the ball on the floor and take it past you.
Yeah, the hard closeout is great, but if you know it's coming, it's pretty easy to take off the dribble.
Smith and Lynn will get a break. As Levy and Szymborski are in the game. 1 of 2 for Moncrief. Szymborski lucky there. He got away with a little push off underneath.
Yeah, he was jostling for position.
Davis with a strong take over Moncrief. And the Cougs shave the lead down to 1.
That was a left hand, too. He's got a lot more touch than he let on the first couple times we saw him play.
It definitely improved throughout this season, and he might not be the tallest guy on the floor, but more times than not, he looks like the strongest guy on the floor. So he can really dominate that paint.
Moncrief again from that spot. Man.
Yep.
Look, we've been saying it all the time. The opponent's got to say too. You can play everything right, and sometimes they just do well. And so far, Moncrief in this first half has been pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen his full range yet. That's a little scary.
Obviously not a positive that he already has 15 points, but that's 15 of their 22. So if he cools down a little bit, I think Montgomery has the clear edge in this game so far.
I mean, he's what, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc? So Pogue knows what I'm going to say to this. This is Levy with another strong take with the left hand. Matt Levy playing a really incredible game at the rim today. Pogue, you know what I'm going to say when a guy starts out this hot.
Law of averages.
That's right. They're going to get a foul on the outside before the contact, where Szymborski might have done well to earn another charge, if not for the reach-in. Regression back to the mean, folks. It's my favorite statistical, what do you call that? It's not even a theory, it's just a thing. I'm going to use real technical jargon there. My favorite statistical thing.
Oh, the thing?
That
okay.
thing.
All right.
Off of a screen, no good, and a layup, no good, as Montgomery got lucky there from Nate Erm. And Levy's going to be wide open the other way, and maybe a little too wide open as he tried to give Montgomery the lead back. A drive and a no good floater that time from Harrison. And Levy comes back again the other way. The trailer is Szymborski. Yes, and the lead.
That one was deep.
It's so obvious to me. It's so obvious to me watching him. What his momentum coming forward as the trailer, like not fading away. I had so much confidence in that shot leaving his hand because that's when he's at his best. And no good, and Szymborski's got the charge call once again.
That was a sneaky one, too. He waited until offensive players just about to leave their feet, and he slides under.
First foul on Loesch. As Lynn is back in the game, Vermelt will get a rest. You know what else Vermelt does that we don't give him credit for?
Raise a lot of money for charity?
Well, that too. I feel like we gave him credit for that.
Yeah, that's true. We gave him.
Szymborski gets into the lane and a ton of contact, but no call.
Then no, I don't know.
It's kind of like an offensive lineman. When you're calling an offensive lineman's name on a broadcast, it's typically because something's going wrong, right? The guy's getting beat.
Yeah, getting beat, holding.
Defensively, you don't hear us talk about Jack Vermelt very much defensively. You know why? Because he's not messing up.
Yeah, he's in the right spot at the right time.
Szymborski got run over. So they're going to call Zion Harrison on that foul. His first. The team is fifth. Montgomery leads this one 23-22 with just under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Little trouble getting it in, but Lynn creates some separation, and now the hesitation off the window, just a little too strong with the left hand, and the Raiders come the other direction.
Even though he didn't make that one, it's pretty impressive to see that he even got that shot up. He had players on both sides of him going very fast to the paint, and he almost got it in.
Moncrief had a brief rest, and you don't want to leave him on the bench for too long the way he's been playing. Good job by Luke Smith. And now Jaden Green, we hadn't called his name at all today, and he is no good from the outside. Josh Moore looking to add to the Cougar lead with a wrong-handed, right-handed shot. Levy's got the rebound. He had maybe a little more time than he thought, and he ended up missing the layup.
Yeah, he was a little surprised how open he was. Probably expected contact coming from behind.
Really strong box out. As we're under one. Good job by Lynn, being a little bit of a pest on Moncrief. Good job by Levy to recover after it looked like he might have been beaten by a step. and a long-range 3 from Nick Loesch. Another one with a high hand. What are you going to do?
Foul him is the only other option, so I prefer what's happening right now.
I mean, we're talking about in a matter of 6 inches. A Euro for Lynn, and he's going to go to the line as he got clotheslined on the way through.
Both Nick Loesch and Ben Spitzer, 2 of their best shooters, both have 2 fouls. So, again, foul trouble could help Montgomery in this situation.
Lynn's good on the first one. Lucas Roland is into the game. He got some burn at the very end of the first meeting, and he's seeing a lot more time in the first half of this one. I was actually pretty impressed with the way he handled the ball at the end of the game for Hillsborough as Lynn knocks down the second one.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence.
We are knotted at 25 here in Skillman in the border war against Hillsborough. Last shot of the quarter, likely upcoming for the Raiders as Whitney and Roland play catch. Lynn and they're going to get a foul on Moncrief. And you know what? That's just a game of subtlety there because Lynn gave him a little shove and moved him off the mark. And that's where I was going to go with what I was going to say, that it was a good job by Lynn to just not let Moncrief go where he wanted. And then Moncrief got upset, and that was too much for the refs. Under 5 to go here in the quarter. Lynn will get it back. He's going to pull up for the lead. No good, but we go to the half exactly the same way we started. And boys, if I told you that at halftime it'd be 0-0, you would take that every day of the week. 25 apiece here in Montgomery as the Cougars and Hillsborough locked in a good one. It's halftime. We'll be right back. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to the Cougar Den. We're at halftime, boys basketball. Montgomery and Hillsborough are deadlocked at 25. Now, Tommy, I haven't had a chance to look at the statistics in depth, but just the feeling I have, and you can tell me if the statistics bear this out, is that Montgomery has been just pretty much a spread-out offense in terms of the production, and it feels like it's been the exact opposite for Hillsborough.
Yeah, I mean, for Hillsborough, obviously, 15 points from Ugangst and no one else with more than 3. Loesch with 3, Spitzer with 3, and then Green and Harrison both with 2. Harrison was the leading scorer for Hillsborough in the last meeting, and only 2 points so far on 2 shots taken. And for Montgomery, everyone who's gotten in the game has scored out of the 7 players who have gotten in the game, which we usually don't see. Leading scorer only with 6 with Matt Levy, but 2 players with 4, 3 with 3, and only Davis with 2. So pretty much opposite on both offenses.
Yeah, I like this version of Montgomery's offense better than relying on one guy. I think when it is spread out and you don't know which poison to pick if you're the opposite team, this is when this team could be pretty good.
Yeah, ball movement's huge for them. When they space the floor and have, room for Lynn to make the incredible moves he makes, it frees up a lot of other shooters. So the more they move around, share the ball, Hillsborough is a team that they can beat.
So got to figure maybe Hillsborough can Montgomery rather, can just put a cap on Trevor Moncrief a little bit and get back in this. But, you don't want to make wholesale changes, because when you say, hey, it really was Jaden Green and a lot of Zion Harrison that beat you the first time around, the question becomes, well, all right, if we're going to rob from Peter, how much are we going to give to Paul, in terms of what are we sacrificing defensively on the other guys? And if your thought is, you know what, listen, maybe we haven't seen this type of production from Moncrief all year, that let's just leave it and let's see what happens.
When no one else is hurting you, it's not a bad idea. It's a different story when, their top 3 scorers are scoring the way they should, but when it's only one person, if you change too much, you're leaving other shooters good opportunity to get shots they weren't getting.
I got to tell you, it wouldn't be a basketball broadcast this year, at least in the pre-February world where I didn't reference pickleball, and then in the February on world where I didn't reference lacrosse. And I was pretty angry last night, I'm not going to lie, because Wednesday nights turn into like a fun evening for me, because my lovely better half, Nicole, and my good friend Eric Suggs' fiance Robin play in a Wednesday night league together, and so it's great. It's like going to the bar with your friends, but it's just watching it live and people you know.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic because I have no responsibility whatsoever.
Wow.
And if you saw how ridiculously incredible those two played, I was so pissed. Josh Moore starts things off right for Montgomery. He's pissed too at the way things happened the first time with Montgomery and Hillsborough. I was like, I'm sitting there talking to Eric, and I'm like, who are these girls? And how come they don't play like this when they play with us? It's ridiculous.
Ooh, what's the common denominator there, though?
Well, yeah, I know. It's no good.
Good luck with that.
Right, Nicole? Oh, good offense again from Hillsborough. That resulted in a backside layup from Jaden Green. Nicole has the microphone part of the headset up by her ear. That's why you didn't hear her snide remarks to me and didn't see the 2 holes I have in the side of my head as she bored daggers into the side of me as Smith can't get it to go. Oh, you know, the other problem was I had you on mute.
See? Blame it on me. That is not even true. I said, oh.
All right.
Oh, there were no daggers.
I'm not going to talk to you again for the next week.
So not true. So dramatic over there.
A long 3 is no good. And Moore with some space and a run out. And he just frustrated with himself. And, of course, Lynn knocks down the 3 after the whistle. Oh, it's always the way it goes. What happened?
I don't know. The internet went out for a second.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's why you were looking. I didn't know what the issue was.
Oh. Well, there isn't one. That's the beauty of it.
That's fantastic.
Or I don't know what it is, so let's not talk about it.
Bounce pass into the middle for nobody in particular. An underhanded pass up ahead for Lynn. And, oh, it falls off the front of the rim.
Also, pretty good amount of steals. A lot of forced turnovers for Montgomery in the first half and starting out in the second.
Up and down pace for both of these squads as Levy is rejected that time. A good extra pass inside and another layup. I think, yeah, and Grundy, I think with a good decision there, telling everybody to slow down. This kind of pace, I don't think favors Montgomery.
Yeah, I think they should take the fast break opportunities when they get them, but slow and controlled pace and make sure you get a good shot.
Huge rejection from Jaden Green on Lynn. You know what Lynn does well in that hesitation? His hand never comes underneath the ball. As Moore's floater is good. Josh Moore making a concerted effort to be more offensive in this game, and we're tied again.
It's working, too. Doesn't have to be a three-point shot. He's finding other ways.
And a three, as there's some miscommunication that left Spitzer wide open, and he made Montgomery pay.
Spitzer missed most of the second quarter because he had 2 fouls, but now he's back, and Montgomery has to remember to defend him on the perimeter.
A renewed vigor defensively for Hillsborough. And I always say when stuff like this happens and teams get a little more aggressive defensively, that's when I kind of want to slow down. You want to be authoritative with the ball, but you don't necessarily need to play at their pace and get frenetic, because all that happens when you create a long possession, when the other team dials up the defense, is they get tired. And the opposite, of course, happens right there with the MIRE jinx in full effect.
Wish we had powers for good.
I know, right? There's that movie coming out with all the superheroes where they kind of stink at their jobs. That would be us if we had superpowers. We'd be like flying into buildings and stuff. We'd Moncrief. Wow. I mean,
that's like almost logo territory.
I mean, come on.
Of course, the one thing you did predict, you said we hadn't seen his full range before.
Yeah, but I didn't think I'd be right.
Lynn from the corner, that's no good. And Vermelt is over his back. So a couple of quick threes, and Coach Grundy wants to settle it down and talk it over. Timeout coming from Montgomery as we're past the midway point of quarter number 3. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're caught in the MIRE. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to Skillman. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue, Tommy Petrain, and Nicole DeMays live on the MIRE. Hillsborough's jumped out to a 6-point lead thanks to back-to-back threes from Ben Spitzer and again from Trevor Moncrief.
I mean, what do you do when you're playing great defense and will just keep backing up and shooting higher over you?
Spitzer again. No good, and Hillsborough flying in for the rebound with Harrison. And I think we're going to get a foul on the inside on Ethan Lynn. No, they're just going to say it's out of bounds. Montgomery got a little lucky there as Moncrief and Lynn got tangled up. Good job off the inbound for the Cougs. And yet it finds its way into Harrison's hands for a bucket.
Good job cutting off the paint on the pass there. Just got to remember about the other guy.
Lynn driving and kicking. Luke Smith, yes! That's about as big a bucket in that spot as you can have.
Yeah, we needed something productive, but we really need another stop right now. That's what gets things going.
Yep, stop in a bucket and you feel good. Loesch, as he works on Levy. Good job by Matt, as always, to play tough and do the dirty work. A little out of control for Harrison. Good job by Ethan Lynn. And Moncrief puts it home again. Lead is back to 7 for Hillsborough, and from Melt's going to try his hand at another 3, and the long rebound goes to the Raiders. Spitzer sneaking past from Melt, and a good job on the boards by Montgomery. As we're going to get a injury timeout. Jaden Green fell heavily on that shoulder that time.
And we don't want that play by Luke Smith there to go unseen. He was being boxed out. There was a little bit of a smaller guy on him, so instead of going for the rebound, he tipped it out to his teammate, give him a better chance.
Lynn uses a quick dribble to break a double, and using the window is Vermelt.
Just waiting patiently, carving out his spot. I mean, he had a chance to drive on the first, hard closeout, and he knew it wasn't the right time.
Man, and you know what I was going to say? That's such good defense, because that really wasn't an ideal look for a 3 from Spitzer, and he knocked it down anyway.
You would rather him have that than a lot of other looks.
That was one where he looked off balance, and it just felt a little rushed, and yet sometimes they go down. Vermelt from the corner, and Jack can't get it to fall. He looks much more confident offensively.
Yeah, he's starting to figure out what his role is and where his shots are going to come from.
3, no good off the side of the backboard, and Jack will roll the other direction. Lynn, oh, what a move up and under, and he's going to go to the free throw line. That was so smooth.
Wow. The hesitation, but the crossover the wrong direction.
And again, not to put his hand underneath the basketball, because, when you have that kind of hesitation, the officials are looking for, are you carrying it when you do that? That was like, it almost like looked like he put his body in slow motion to cross back over the other way. Because 2 Hillsborough players went up as if they said, well, you have nowhere else to go, and he just put the brakes on, and that was, wow.
Can't even imagine trying to guard him. You never know what he's going to do next.
You would feel so uneasy and just on your heels like, I don't like this.
Lead is back down to 7 as we're under a minute to go. This feels kind of like the story of the Cougar season, doesn't it? Harrison, and they're going to get a foul on Vermelt that time. Like you're playing just well enough to be right in every game, and can you just hit enough shots in big spots at the end of a game? No good on the first one from Zion Harrison.
For a lot of Montgomery's games this season, they've let it get out early. Other team has gone up by 15 or something in the first half. Then the rest of the game is pretty even. In this game, right when it's about to get out of hand, sometimes in the first half and here in the beginning of the second half in this quarter, it's got up to 8, 9 a couple times, but never let it get out of hand. They're staying in this game.
And that's maybe if we just broadcast the game in silence, we'd be better at this.
Well, that we already know, but I don't know about for the winning part.
Luke Smith will step back, and he will answer. Man, that's huge. Twice now in the third quarter, Smith has come up big.
Yep, keeping us in this.
I think he saved the MIRE curse right there.
Nope, he didn't. That she just makes you feel better about yourself. But nope, don't make no mistake about it. It still exists.
Give it time, Tommy. Give it time.
Josh Moore picks up his second foul, and that's going to send Roland to the line for 2. Ethan Lynn back into the game in a little offense-defense. No good, as Lynn has it now with 3. And 2 seconds on the clock. Moore's going to try a 3 at the buzzer, and he's just off the mark. So Hillsborough outplays the Cougs by 8 in that quarter and leads it by that same margin. 8 minutes left to play in Skillman, and we have a good one. We'll be right back with the final stanza right after this. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to the Mire. Fourth quarter of boys basketball upon us. Montgomery and Hillsborough back and forth in a good one. It really was, if you ask me the difference in this game, it was those back-to-back threes in those possessions for Hillsborough that really kind of made the difference in this one.
It gave them a little bit of cushion, then they're a lot more free with their shot selection.
I think the most important part of this quarter might be the beginning. Want to set the tone, don't want to go down early and prevent being able to come back.
Nearly a steal as Moore tried to push it ahead for Smith, and he just wasn't expecting the ball there. I think Moore just wanted to get it to him as fast as he possibly could. This has always been the key to this trap, is having somebody at the point of it that's just long and can create disruption, and Ethan Lynn is that guy. God forbid he gets any taller, and he could be a really effective weapon in this defensively. We haven't really had anybody play that point position quite as effectively as Timmy Maloney did for 2 years. But he was a freak show of, a super stretch Armstrong. And, just kind of like in the same way that Montgomery was, kind of blessed with different shooting guards year over year. As now we are going to get a steal as Moncrief lost the handle. And that one probably would have done better as a bounce pass.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic to try and fit that in.
You know, Montgomery, to finish that thought, Montgomery went from Danny Engels to Maloney, both at the point, with complete and utter disregard for their bodies and 9 feet long arms.
Danny Engels tried to take a lot of charges.
There's no doubt. From Elt's 3 is no good, just a little off the mark. Inside out for Spitzer. That one's off the mark, but an offensive rebound for the Raiders. A little chaotic. As Hillsborough's just trying to weather this storm a little bit. They throw inside, and Vermelt did well to get out of the way. So the lead is 10, double digits for the first time for Hillsborough. As a good stutter step from Vermelt, as Moore was just so wide open he didn't even realize it.
Sometimes you're just too open and you don't expect it.
It's the ones where you have so much time to think about it. And that turnover right there is emblematic of really what Montgomery's goal in this trap is to make you throw a lob or a laser. And, you know, if you're not perfect with it, that's what can happen.
It's either out of frustration or you're going for the home run, but they bait you into both of them.
I'm trying to find a way to get Luke Smith the basketball.
Yeah, he needs some more shots, definitely.
Szymborski throws dangerously, and Levy lost his footing, and it ended in a turnover. And a good job the other way by Luke Smith to force free throws instead of a layup. First foul on Smith. The foul situation, though, 5-1 in the wrong direction. Zion Harrison to the line for 2 and cashes in on the first. Levy gets a breather as Davis checks into the game. Harrison cans them both. And Hillsborough's going to call a timeout to set some things up. It'll be a full timeout, so we will take it with them. Raiders have a 12-point lead. 5 minutes left to play here in Skillman. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to the Mire. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue, and Tommy Petrain, along with the lovely Nicole Demes, spinning the camera for you. She's up on the top of a 20-foot pole, guys. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous, but she's up for it.
She's like Booger McFarlane in the lift thing that they had him in on Monday Night Football a couple years ago. The same one that Brian Kelly had the kid die on at Notre Dame. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, that's a big person to put up there too. It's a lot of
he
shaking.
He just called her a big person.
Oh no, we're talking about Booger, and you know it.
Oh.
I totally heard that.
I am no fool.
Szymborski slips down. Great job to find Lynn on the inside, and he just pulls up and knocks it down. Calm as the day is long for both of them.
Yeah, what a gift that was.
That might have been our best inside look all day, and it came right off the ground.
Yeah.
Gonna get a foul on the Cougs. That's their 6th. It's gonna be the 3rd on Josh Moore. That's the 4th on Josh Moore, I'm sorry. Well, they're going to correct that foul and say it was Szymborski and not Moore. And a steal again as Montgomery forces Hillsborough into something they didn't want, as Lynn misses but tips it back out. Szymborski with a little bit of momentum, no good. And a long rebound goes to Avery Whitney. Spitzer with a nice jump stop in the middle to stop himself from traveling. And Josh Moore does well to knock that out of bounds.
Good job from Montgomery. This is getting into crunch time, so they're being very aggressive, trying to get some steals.
Tommy, just so you know, you're doing what I call, you're pulling a Bartholomew right now.
Doing an excellent job, doing a great job. Right?
Yes,
I think that's what it means.
I think so too. Now let's hear what Keith has to say. It's going to sound great.
Sometimes when you talk, sometimes it's just like you talk really lightly and you know, like even when things are quiet and all that other stuff, people at home still have to hear us. So keep it rolling. As Smith steps back, trying to keep it rolling for him and the Cougs, and he cannot.
Clock is now starting to become an enemy very quickly.
Got to get it over midcourt here. This might be 10. This might, oh my goodness, that had to be close. Defensively, Montgomery's going to get called for a foul as Levy took a swipe at Loesch.
Oh, that was most definitely 10 seconds.
Was it? Where did the clock start?
3:35, 3:25 still at half court. I mean, not that anybody's checking. We weren't checking. Just curious.
Did you just remember that? No checking.
Yeah.
Loesch knocks down the first half of the 1-and-1. And he gets them both. Lynn will work the screen game. And they're going to get Szymborski on a push-off. That's a pretty easy call. Third on JT. Got to be tactful when you try to create maybe a little more space and separation for your boy in situations like that.
Yeah, you got to keep your limbs very close to your body. And anytime they extend, it looks pretty obvious.
Spitzer does a really nice job to break the trap. Great job inside, and that ends again in an easy bucket for Spitzer. Szymborski gets called for a charge. Again, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Spitzer did a good job to get to the spot.
Little out of control in the spin.
Fourth on JT. What was the score at the end of the third?
I don't know.
It was 46-38.
Yeah, that's what I was looking to see if the Cougs, how many the Cougs had in this quarter, as Moncrief again. And this is why, you don't like being in these types of situations where you have to step out, is Cougs are going to now empty the bench down 16 with 2 minutes to go. Levy knocks down a three. As another layup rolls off, but Hillsborough with another chance at offense. And another three. Because we're going to get a timeout just for substitution purposes. So a 30-second timeout as the Cougs go to the bench. We saw some good things from some of the reserves at the end of the Watchung game. Mickey Aguilar knocked down a three. Braden Ginsburg playing a pretty decent role. And who's wearing the Hustle jersey today, Poke?
Jeremiah Norwood.
My man.
He's an acquaintance of the MIRE.
Absolutely an acquaintance of the MIRE. Does well on the football field as well, in addition to his exploits on the basketball court. The Hustle jersey, of course, in honor of James Lupos, considered one of the best, if not the best, in the Grundy era of boys basketball here. Certainly set the tone for what you want to represent as a program, as Ginsburg is going to pick up, or draw a foul, I should say, not pick up a foul. Adit Shah will pick up the foul for Hillsborough, just their second. A long inbound pass is corralled by Magnus Wallace. I'm surprised at times too. Well, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, because what do I really know is Norwood will get on the scoreboard with a scoop shot layup.
That's a great move. Hesitation and a little bit kind of the awkward release timing.
Atulia Mani, when you watch him stroke it from the outside, it's got as good-looking a shot as you'll see in the program. And so I said, I don't want to say I'm surprised, but, you know, it's a kid who's a pretty good sharpshooter. You might need a three here and there. Maybe look that way for a little bit of burn. So Hillsborough closing out what was a really, really good game through about 3.5 quarters, and it seemed like those back-to-back possessions for the Raiders where they cashed in on three-pointers really sent this one momentum-wise in a different direction. Not that I believe in the concept of momentum, but actually I was talking to Eric about this last night too, that I do believe in momentum, just not for me. I'm dead serious.
How are you immune?
Because I'm too mentally strong to believe in momentum. But I think that there are other people that are not necessarily as mentally strong, and they do believe in momentum. So there's that.
So when it happens for them, aren't they mentally stronger for believing in it and it happening?
No.
Okay.
They just ride the wave. What? Yeah, you're telling me that, like...
So you're saying they're just going through life absent-minded and stuff's happening to them?
Sometimes.
All right, I'll agree with that. There's people on autopilot around these days.
If you just had the kind of confidence that some people have when they feel like they have momentum, you'd be like better off probably. Maybe you would play like that all the time if you just believed in yourself like that all the time.
Well, that's one way to think about it.
Yeah, I know, because I'm right.
Yeah, usually when people have to tell you they're right, you know, it just means something. I don't know what it means.
No,
but
I'm right.
Yeah, okay.
Buddy, what are you sneering at me over there for? For what? For what part of this?
All of it.
Why?
You just called me a mental midget.
I did not.
You did too. You said we're mentally inferior.
I didn't say that. That doesn't make you a mental midget. You might be mentally strong, but I'm like still mentally superior.
You're good at this. You're so good at this. This is going to be a great conversation on the way home. It's too good at this.
He's got his own wave of
The
momentum
proceeding has
right
been a
now.
production of the MIRE, sole property of the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience, and every broadcast or account of this one without the express consent of us is prohibited. Cougs drop one to Hillsborough. Our next broadcast comes next week. Tuesday, we are on the road again at Ridge. We'll see our friend Rich Shello as the Cougs will take on the Red Devils. And then we will have a special presentation of girls basketball next Thursday. It will be senior night. Don't miss all of that action as we transition from pickleball season to lacrosse season this weekend, folks. It's going to be an interesting dichotomy.
You're not going to get to play as much. It's going to be hard.
I know. I'm really upset about it. But it is what it is. Tommy, as always, a bang-up job, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. DeMace, good job out of you. Crawling down from that 20-foot pole. Pogue, whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Montgomery loses to Hillsborough for the second time this season. For Matt Pogue, Tommy Petrain, and Nicole DeMace, I'm Keith Glock. Thanks for watching us, idiots.